systemic discrimination that is a daily occurrence in every First Nation reserve across this country. That's what those kids said. And that message was heard by kids across this country. The organizing base of this movement started with kids in schools, and it went from school to school to school. At age 14, Shannen was nominated for the International Human Rights Peace Prize internationally. She wrote a letter to the Canadian government when she was 13 saying that she was going to go all the way to Geneva and challenge Canada at the upcoming United Nations Review of the Rights of the Child Convention. That's a lot of moxie for a 13-year-old girl. But she meant it. Because Shannen said always that the one thing she was taught as a child is don't break your promise, and she was tired of Canada breaking its promise. And as you know, we lost Shannen a year and a half ago, and it devastated our community, our region. It devastated people across this country, because when you lose a leader of that magnitude at that age, you have to say, what does it all mean? And within a day, out of the grief, people started to call, and one of the first people to call was Sister Terry Downey. And she said, how does Labour help? And you'll remember when we were here 2 years ago, we asked you for help. We said that we had taken this campaign as far as we could, that the kids were tired, that the resources were being extended, and we couldn't keep this fight up. And we asked for the support of Labour then. And Labour came through, and we started the Shannen's Dream campaign. And the Shannen's Dream campaign is that we're not just fighting for a school in Attawapiskat. We don't want to have to beg or fight for another First Nation school in this country. We want the systemic change now so that every kid gets the same rights to education in the country. That's the Shannen's Dream campaign. Labour has been with us every step of the way. You have been part of the organizing structure of one of the great grassroots civil rights movements, and I want to thank you for that. I see friends like my good friend Bob here. You know, the union leaders that I've seen that showed up, and they didn't have an agenda. They said, how do we help? Well, we didn't have the money to get this campaign off the ground. We didn't often have the organizational structure. We said the kids could do it. We just need you there, and you've been there. Right now, the Shannen's Dream campaign is picking up Shannen's promise. They are going to the United Nations in February. And one of the youth leaders who is going... One of the youth leaders who's going is young Chelsea Edwards, who's one of Shannen's young friends from Attawapiskat, who after Shannen died called and said the kids in Attawapiskat want to keep organizing. We want to bring new leaders for it. So Chelsea is one of those new leaders. She's going to Geneva to challenge Canada at the UN. And if you don't think we can make a difference, you have to look at what these young people have done. We've changed the face of this fight for equal education for First Nation students forever. And that fight is going to continue because we are only part of the way. So brothers and sisters, we need you. We need you to stick with us, to keep us going, to get this fight through. And as I speak right now, we are now 3 weeks into a state of emergency in the community of Attawapiskat. We have people living in tents. We have people living in unheated sheds. We have little kids using buckets for toilets. Not a single federal or provincial official has shown up in that community since the state of emergency. Not a single one. Not a single aid agency has shown up. And yet Canadians across this country are calling our office every day and they're saying, how can this be in this country? How can it be that we have left a community so far behind that people are living in sheds and tents? That is part of our struggle too. Our main fight with Shannen's Dream is the rights of education, but we're asking you brothers and sisters to work with us, to stick with us, and to end this systemic discrimination against our First Nation communities. Thank you. I want to turn it over to one of the real leaders who was on this fight before I even came along, Serena Gustafson.
Award on behalf of my late sister, Shannen. She would have been very proud